everyone, and welcome back to Studio D's YouTube channel. I am so excited again, so many times in front of the camera. This is killing me. Thank you, Kate. I'm so happy to be joined by our amazing practitioners. This is our team. This is Studio D right here. This is great. My name is Amanda, again, creative director. You would have seen me just a couple days ago again, telling you that I don't normally do this. Today, actually, I'm going to be leading the discussion with our team about health and wellness in today's crazy times. So let me introduce the team. I know you guys have all seen them because you follow our Instagram, you follow our Facebook page, you go on our website on the reg. This is our team. We have Micah Ream? Oh my God, I should practice this. Rhyme, a certified athletic therapist. Katie Anderson, put your hand up, our registered massage therapist. Tara, our provisional certified athletic therapist. And Kate, she's just here. No, I'm just kidding. She's our clinic director and athletic therapist. She's another one of our practitioners. So these are our practitioners. And we've been forced to shut down again. So we aren't doing in-person practice anymore. We aren't doing in-person appointments. And that's kind of what this conversation is surrounding, is because of the new restrictions in Alberta, which is where our clinic is based out of. We had to adapt again, like we did back in March. And we've kind of had to think about new creative ways to help people. So, I mean, let's open this up for discussion. What do you guys think are the important aspects of health that people need to be focusing on right now?
I think one of the big challenges is, you know, when your routine is disrupted, right? So you have your routine, maybe, you know, it's taking the stairs at lunch, or maybe it's, you know, going to the gym, or maybe it's going for a walk, right? But when, you know, things change, now you're working from home, now your gym's closed, different things like that, really changing and finding that new routine, I think, can be really challenging and a really kind of hard aspect of this new kind of era that we're entering in.
I think the other side of that to also think about is, like, we have our routine and we have kind of in our normal life traditionally what we see as kind of valued aspects of our health. I think that is also changing right now. I think, you know, stress around COVID and, you know, uncertainty, that's super high. I think stress is maybe something that not everybody thinks about as dealing directly and correlating directly with their health, and managing that, you know, just being as important as eating healthy and exercising. And so I think, you know, building those healthy habits as in your household around routine and managing your own stress and time management, when literally everything now is all, you know, in the walls of your house. You can't escape from work. You can't escape from anything. I think, you know, mental health and that whole aspect is also something that people need to be taking a look at, and maybe changing the kind of social standards around how we value and rank these kind of health areas. I think that's really important to address as well.
Yeah, I think that we need to remember that mental health significantly impacts our physical health. So some people get super agitated when they're anxious. Some people get super lethargic. So being kind to yourself, recognizing where you lay on that spectrum, and trying to kind of battle that and find the best way to find balance and health and physical activity with that in mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. I think one thing that can be challenging as well, now that we are all at home, is ensuring that we're keeping our sleep and like our sleep time and our sleep schedule and our sleep hygiene, and staying on top of that, because it's so easy once our sleep hygiene goes out the door that the rest of our life, our ability to concentrate, to communicate, and to be happy and joyful throughout our day really tends to go with that if we're not careful.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry, Amanda, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Are you moderating? Oh,
I am.
Take it away, Kate.
Sorry, I'm just so used to this now. No, Katie, just for people that don't know, do you want to just expand on what sleep hygiene is? Because I can totally see that being something that, a language that people don't necessarily relate to.
Yep. So like what Micah and Tara and yourself had said already, in regards to keeping that routine of your everyday life, there's also a routine when it comes to ensuring that you're going to bed at a reasonable time, that you're allowing yourself to slow down, turn off our devices, since we're going to be on them so much more. Turn off those devices, give ourselves some time to relax, and do that prior to we actually going to bed, which is it's really quite healthy, and we can forget to do that when we're always, you know, returning emails, we're talking to people on the phone, all that kind of stuff. So giving yourself that chance, that time to, you know, slow your system down a little bit before you go to bed. And the same thing when you do go to sleep, ensuring that you have a quiet area with no devices. Ensuring as well that, you know, we're not eating too late before we go to bed, we're not drinking too late before we go to bed, and also allowing yourself that time to chill out when you wake up and just like have that little bit of space before you start hitting the floor running.
So what you're saying is it's okay to ignore the early morning text from, I don't know, a random person that comes to mind, Kate, who's got a job. I get it. I like that. I like that.
You have our permission. You have our permission. In fact,
thank you guys so much. But no, I mean, I think that's a really good point to kind of springboard off of, is that's something that a lot of people, I mean, it's normal to do when you get up, leave for work, come back from work, you can totally disconnect. So I guess this kind of leads into the next question of, what do you guys think, or what do you see the needs of people looking for help, treatment, support right now would be in your respective fields?
I think the biggest thing that I learned through the first shutdown and continuing it through the summer and then into the second shutdown is definitely routine, but then taking breaks that are full on breaks. So I will take my dog for a walk and I'll leave my phone at home, so I have absolutely no ability to check it and make sure that I'm not missing anything, and just forcing myself to be in the moment and just take those breaks. I think that's important working from home for sure.
I second that, definitely.
I would definitely say I've seen kind of an increase in people actually wanting to invest a little bit more in their overall health and maybe in their, you know, in their physical body a little bit more. It's interesting. I've had kind of a shift in my appointments personally from the first shutdown. The first shutdown in March was almost a little bit panicky, I think, for people in trying to find resources and routine, and like felt like they should be doing something. And then we had all the social media crazes around different at-home workout trends and you know, all of this stuff, so much content, not great quality content, if I'm being completely honest. And this shutdown, you know, where we're closing our physical space particular, I've seen a shift in my patients from, you know, not wanting to like work out with me or have me give them workout routines, but having them come at this from a little bit more of a slowed down and thoughtful way. You know, I've had patients come to me and be like, okay, so I know that this area needs work. You know, how can I work on this? What are the different strategies in my lifestyle? How can I change what's actually causing some of these? And I think as people have been removed from like their sports and their activities, and they've, you know, really been able to kind of feel where their body's at and where their health is at, I think a lot of people came kind of in tune with that over the summer and that long period of time where we didn't have access to things. And I've seen a bit of a mindset change recently from what my patients have been asking for, which is actually really refreshing from my point of view as a practitioner.
Yeah, to kind of expand on that, you know, in the first lockdown, I think everybody got taken so by surprise. They got thrown into things like Kate was saying, you know, there was this big panic around it. But with the second one, you know, people are expecting a little bit more. We came into it kind of knowing this was going to happen. We've kind of had a little bit of experience with it. And I think that gives people the opportunity to kind of have that moment of reflection, be like, okay, well, what did we do in the first one that went well and what didn't go well, right? And what do we kind of need to adjust or modify or adapt for the second one so that we personally can be so much better off for it, right? And that we can kind of work through the different things that we know are going to come up now and kind of be a little bit more proactive around it. So I think it gives people that opportunity, like Kate was saying, to reflect and then proactively identify the areas that they need to put in their life now so that 2-3 weeks down the road, things don't kind of blow up and really kind of turn into even worse of a situation.
Well, and I think that's a really good point. The first time everyone was kind of taken by surprise. Now we all had a feeling like, oh, if it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen soon. Like they're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. So there's a little more leeway into it, which I don't know if it made it better or not, but it's nice that like we kind of had that like, yeah, in the back of our mind, yeah, this is what's going to happen. So I guess that kind of brings up who was able to move their appointments online And what was that transition like this time around, this go around, as opposed to being totally taken by surprise back in March? What are you finding difficult? What are you finding are really great? Like you guys kind of mentioned already, the mindset of patients coming in has changed, which I think is great, especially for this time of year, just to be a little more thoughtful about the effort you're putting into. But yeah, tell me your experience so far.
Yeah, I think it really allows people and us to be a little bit more reflective of, like I was saying, what kind of pieces we really need to focus on here, right? So it allows us this space to really have those conversations, talking about, okay, well, what do you need in your life now, right? We kind of can identify easily, when we're, say, going on normal life per se, when our ankle hurts or when our back hurts, right? That's really easy to identify. But now is this great opportunity to try to start identifying where these areas that we can make this changes to be healthier overall. I think it really opens up this space to talk about these different lifestyle management pieces that I think often get kind of pushed away because we get too busy with other things. We get, caught in the throes of work and pain and activity, and we're trying to fit all this in. Whereas now, we have this space that I think we really want to kind of take advantage of to see if we can create those opportunities to create a more healthy lifestyle, especially then when we come out of lockdown, and we can kind of carry some of that through.
I personally, as an orthotherapist, was able to move my practice online in the first shutdown very gradually. Like I would say there was a very specific personality type and case type that was like, yeah, I'll come online with you. And then this time with the shutdown of our physical space, I would say almost all my patients came online because there was, I'd been talking about it. I had kind of my own skills built around it now as a practitioner. But I would say I've had some really interesting reflection points recently around our digital platform. So I'll just say that when we went onto our digital platform in March, this was brand new for everybody, right? Like patients, practitioners, everybody. I definitely dropped my iPad on my face twice, trying to get filming angles proper. I was like trying to show somebody my shoulder. I'm like holding the iPad, definitely dropped it. And, that was okay because everybody was getting used to it. Patients had to adapt to it. I had to learn how to not just move somebody's leg into the position I wanted to be, but to actually communicate where I wanted the patient to be, what position. So it really challenged me as a practitioner to reflect on how I was communicating with my patients and really build out that verbal communication. But I think what's really interesting is now that I've had clients staying online this entire time and had a couple patients come on who live in different areas, so they have to be digital, and one patient who kind of went digital, in person, digital. I would say, there, with society being on camera all the time, I'm actually getting more and more and more out of these sessions with people because they are so comfortable being on film, learning how to move their cameras around. And I would say, I had a brand new patient start online really recently, and, I was getting ready to coach them through that whole process. And, they were changing their angles and flipping their computer up and down. And, and they were just as communicative with me. And so I think the digital health is going to, grow and grow and hold more and more value for people as we learn as a society how to communicate more and more and more in that way. And that's happening because everything in our life is digital right now. And so we're all gaining those skills. And that's been a really interesting shift over the last year to watch personally.
Absolutely.
Just giggling.
And then, well, I mean, I'm stuck on the image of you holding an iPad up, and it's
right, yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah. I'm just picturing the appointments of, can you see what my back is doing? No, tilt your camera up. Oh yes, hold on. That first initial, the awkwardness of it. So I think that's great that you bring that up, that it's kind of a different setup right now. So Tara, I know you've been able to move online as well. And with our risk mitigation programs, you guys have kind of been able to do that online, which is great. Katie.
Yes.
Tell us your experience with moving online.
Yes.
It's completely different.
It is. It definitely is. I haven't been able to move online, unfortunately, because, you kind of need my hands for massage. And as much as it would be nice to be able to teach massage, it can be a little challenging. So what I have kind of shifted to, and I guess a gift that I have, is I am also being trained in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So with that being said, I have this lovely kind of marriage of being able to understand how the body works, and kind of in a different way than like a Western practitioner, from the idea of understanding how your emotions are associated with your body and what can actually happen when you have like an excess of, for example, anxiety due to the pandemic, or fear or anger, what that's associated with, and then what specific things you can do in turn with that to help promote health, because I'm not able to be in the clinic with everyone, unfortunately. So it's been more of a transfer of providing as much knowledge as I can with the studies that I've done, so that people are able to transfer it into their own life, just like what the other therapists are doing. And they can use that to better their health instead of actually physically being in the clinic. I'm not sure if that answers your question fully.
Well, no, it absolutely does. It's yeah, go Kate.
I promise I won't interrupt. No, I just think Katie's being way too modest. Katie is an absolutely amazing practitioner, full of knowledge. And, you know, yes, Katie might not be able to continue doing manual therapy right now, but, you know, as Studio Deep rolls out different programs and different areas that we're trying to focus and give back to our community, Katie is instrumental in giving her opinion on those areas, giving, you know, her professional opinion with her scope of practice and her background in where she's coming from. And that is just as important as anything else that our practitioners bring to the table. So I just want to give Katie a little plug.
Thanks, Kate.
Well, and that's great too, because like each of our practitioners, all of you guys bring something unique to the table. That's what this whole, you know, not only does Studio do the collaborative, this is how we're going to help you on your health journey, but each of you guys bring something unique to the table. So Katie's knowledge and humbleness, which Kate is lacking, and then there's I have to call you out, I'm always behind the camera, I don't get to, you know, I'm always like commenting on it, so this is my opportunity. But then there's, you know, Micah, you have this, so I'm not going to pretend to know what it is, but there's an acronym that's like super unique. CP, what is it again? That you have that not a lot of people have. I don't know what it is, because I'm a layman, you know, I'm just a normal Joe Blow over here. It's
excuse me, sorry. PDTR, so proprioceptive deep tendon reflex, but it's a bit of a mouthful.
Kind of a mouthful, and also I had one of the letters correct, so like good for me.
See, there you go.
But no, you bring that, and then Tara, you bring. It's so funny because you just drop this information every once in a while, and out of the blue, I'm like, what is she talking about? But you have this desire, this interest, that, you know, the foot thing. Bring that up, you know.
Oh, feet. Yeah, I call myself a foot nerd.
Passionate.
Yeah, very passionate about feet and how feet impacts the whole body. Yeah, so I focus a lot of my treatment on feet. Yes, I have dropped that on you from time to time. Yeah,
you have, and I'm like, she keeps saying this foot thing. What is it? But which is hilarious, because I mean, as Kate knows, I managed to collapse one of my arches in my foot from working from home.
And you haven't called me?
You know what? I wasn't gonna bring it up because I knew you were gonna mention something. We can discuss this later when I book my next, you know, chunk of appointments. Thank you. I'm gonna edit this out, so don't even worry about it. But no, I guess we've kind of already touched on it. Is like the difference between March 13th shutdown, where there was no information really. No one knew what to expect. We just shut down completely. We had to move online fast. We were kind of, you know, playing with the idea at the beginning of the year already, but that was the must move online or close the doors. So that move to, we've been, as a company, as a clinic, we've been working to be more online, to be more, you know, available this entire time. We didn't take a break. When we could open the clinic doors again, we didn't stop with online. And that really came to the pilot program of you know, there was some backdoor conversations with the founder and with Kate, myself, being like, hey, how are we going to do this? Like, let's move online. This is what we want to do. And Kate's like, no, we need to try this. And she's like, let's do a pilot program. I'm like, yes, this sounds great. What is it? So Kate, kind of explain what your baby was, because that was really the starting point for us being able to handle shutting down again, honestly.
Yeah, the principle behind the pilot program was that, you know, the lockdown happened, and I think as a group of practitioners that were already of the mindset of, you know, let's decrease barriers, let's give more access to health, let's reach more people. We were like, yeah, everything's online, let's run with it. And so I think where the program was kind of started was us hitting the brakes a bit and saying, okay, what do people actually need and want right now? Because we expected there to be a swing, right? Everybody had to go online, and then we expected a swing back where everybody craved being in person, being face-to-face, which is totally reasonable. And then we thought we would land somewhere in the middle, maybe farther to the digital side, just with, you know, where everything's going, but we really didn't know. So what we did when the clinic was allowed to reopen is we ran a pilot program where people were allowed to sign up in the 3 areas. So either online patient only, brick and mortar patient only, or hybrid, where they were allowed to access either. And then halfway through the trial period, they were allowed to change streams if they wished. And all they had to do is tell us why they wanted to switch. It was really interesting because at the end of the pilot program, not one person was in the brick and mortar stream still. Everybody had moved either onto the digital stream or the hybrid stream. And we did have people accessing this program from like BC. So obviously could only access digitally. And that was really interesting to see. You know, we couldn't just be like, okay, well, we'll just pull one appointment in person. Like we really had to look at what health looked like from a digital platform and where it needed to be integrated. But the interesting thing was all those patients ended up working on the bigger picture, working on lifestyle, working on all of these things that we've been talking about are so, so important. And I think sometimes in our society, I'm about to go into a black hole tangent. I'll try to pull it back before I go too far. But I think our society is very focused on quick fixes. And I think it's really interesting that these kind of staples are kind of overlooked, you know, like I'm gonna throw my mom under the bus a little bit here, but we were talking about this, and a friend of mine clicked on one of these links that was like, you know, 5 ways to, I can't even remember what it was, but the 5 ways were like, eat healthy, exercise often, sleep well. And she was like, oh, and moved on. And my mom and I were talking this morning about menopause and how this isn't a conversation that is in our society much. And, you know, she was like, yeah, well, you know, there's all this stuff about like, you know, just eat healthy and blah. And I was like, that's so funny, because she's a very in tune person with, you know, all of this stuff that's going on as me as her daughter. But even she was like, yeah, they just said, you know, eat health. And that's because I think that's very reflective of what our society is like. Oh, well, that's, you know, we know that. But that stuff is the core to unlocking health in like every aspect, you know, eat healthy, exercise well, sleep. Like those are the fundamental, I'm going to calm down a little bit here. Those are the most important things. And I think this is an amazing opportunity for people to reconnect with the basics, but that are actually the things that work instead of these kind of quick fixes. And totally went on a tangent. Oh, that's kind of what came out of the pilot program, is people rediscovering that through digital health, where they were inside their house talking to us about what they were working on. And because they were in their house, in their comfort zone, stuff that we didn't normally work with patients on when they come into the clinic started coming up. And now I'm going to be quiet and let other people talk.
No, but I think that's a great jumping off point of, you know, we had a meeting not too long ago about, we were discussing, you know, how can we offer even more with our online appointments? And Micah, I mean, you'd be the perfect person to sum this up. Like, what was the biggest realization you guys had in that meeting for online appointments? I'm letting Micah talk because Kate talks too much. So Micah, this is your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, similar to kind of some of the conversations we've had already to kind of put it all together, I think one of the biggest things that we can really accomplish in this online platform is this moving away from a dependence on the quick fixes, on some of the feel good kind of stuff, and really look at what is actually going to make a difference in people's life and what's going to actually positively influence them moving forwards and create long-term effective strategies for health and wellness, right? I mean, that's kind of what everyone's says they're looking for, but that's what hardly anyone actually ever looks for, you know? And I think it's like Kate's point, I think it comes back to the things that make the biggest change are the quote unquote obvious things, the things that everyone thinks that they already know, but maybe don't, right? So, you know, people talk about, well, let's eat healthy, right? Well, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for you, right? Well, have a good exercise routine. Well, again, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for, you know, someone down the road who's had a knee replacement and a recent ankle sprain, right? What does that mean for these different people? So I think it's these conversations around health and wellness, what's actually going to make a big long-term difference, and how individual people can apply them individually. Because, you know, you can't just take some exercise program online and say, oh, well, if everyone does this, they're going to be healthier, because that's not the case, right? You know, we know that different people are different. We know that different people, you know, respond and adapt to different things differently, right? That's kind of what makes us individual and human and special and unique, right? So I think it's a really great opportunity for people to dive into them and what they need to do, these small acceptable changes, you know, nothing, no big, you know, life changes, but just small things that they can incorporate or change up in their life that people will end up loving because they feel better, and end up being really enjoyable parts of their days, right? And then ends up having better long-term health outcomes across the board. So now I'm gonna shut up, but I'm getting too fired up here. But
yeah, you went on your rant. I know Kate wants to jump in with the last chunk, though.
Can I jump in?
Yes, yeah. Kara, jump
Other
in.
people talk.
Micah, you took the words right out of my mouth on that. I was going to say exactly that. Like, eat healthy. What does that even look like? For some people, eating healthy is not having those super restrictive diets. For some people, eating healthy is actually being able to have a slice of pizza without feeling guilt. For other people, eating healthy is just choosing better options. So it's going to be very different for everybody. It's finding what works for you and what you need. And that same with exercising. What does that look like for you? Same with getting better sleep. What does that look like for you? Are you a morning person or an evening person? What do you need in your routine? So it's going to be very different for everybody. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're taking out of these continuous shutdowns or these long-term shutdowns is finding what works for you and not just quick fix on the internet or like a very general description on the internet.
And I think before we like move on with that, I think there's one more thing that I think is super important here for a lot of people, even for us as practitioners, and like we're all friends here as well, is feeling comfortable enough to reach out when you need help.
Yeah.
I feel like that is like humongous for all of us and for all of the people that we're seeing as well. Even for like myself, like if I can't see my clients, the ability for them to feel comfortable enough to reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling, or hey, I need a hand with something. I don't know what I should eat. I'm struggling with my sleep. I'm struggling with my exercise. I'm struggling with all of this stuff. Even if we can't physically be there to help you, we will be there online to be able to reach out a hand and to give you as much help as we possibly can.
Absolutely. 100%. And that's the big shift for someone who isn't on the other side of that appointment, isn't, you know, receiving clients, patients, whatever. As someone who utilizes that service and started online back in, you know, the original shutdown, the difference now, it's very like, it's more approachable, almost like seeing you guys online, more approachable. You can do that, like, oh, it's not as formal as, oh, I need to book, I need to go downtown, I need to see them in person to do this, and this. You can just be like, hey, Kate, I hurt myself. What would you recommend I do for tonight, just so I can get some sleep, so that I can feel better about it in the morning, kind of thing? Or, you know what, this is kind of tight, I don't understand what I did. Like, just offering that makes it different than the, you know, block, eat better, sleep well, you know, drink 3 liters of water, which is hilarious. That's like the standard for everyone must do. And you're like, no, you can, you know, it looks different for everyone, which I absolutely agree with. And I think it's funny that you guys are not funny, wrong word. So you guys are talking so much about being there for you know, your clients, your patients, and being available to them and walking them through this, and this shift in what their outlook on health is now compared to what you've seen. But none of that you mentioned was manual interaction. None of that was, I'm physically going to move your leg in this position to do this, which is funny because systemically, that's what we in society are told to believe, that the only way you get help is if it's with manual therapy. The only way that you're going to do better is if someone else does it for you. Do you want to touch on that? I mean, the responsibility is now on us. The onus is on us to do better for our own health, to advocate for our health in that way. And I think it's great that you guys are able to walk us through. Oh, hands, Micah, Tara, go.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in on this. One of my biggest goals as a practitioner is to create what I like to call a patient-centric model of care. And what I mean by that is, one of my biggest goals is when you come in through the door, so if we're thinking brick and mortar here, I want to give you all the tools that you need to get better, right? I don't want to be there, someone directing and dictating your recovery. And it's not on me. It's not about me. It's about you, right? So can I give you the tools to be effective in that space, right? And so I think that's my biggest goal as a practitioner. And that transitions so well into an online platform. I think it actually transitions better into an online platform than in person, because it removes some of those barriers that you were talking about, Amanda, right? And allows us to have those conversations, open up that realm of, these are the tools you need to do. And honestly, my goal is to make it so that, whenever you're ready for it, you don't need to see them anymore, because oh, well, my ankle's flaring up. Well, you know what? I have tons of patients who have a notebook or like a binder where it's like, oh, my ankle flares up, and they go to the ankle page and they pull it out and they're like, I got these things that I can do, right? And then they start feeling better. So I think it really, allows us to put that emphasis on individual people and giving them the tools that they need to be healthy and successful in their life without being dependent on having to go see someone or having to do this or having to do that. That's from a business standpoint kind of shoots us in the foot a little bit, but that's kind of always my goal.
Absolutely. Tara?
Micah's stealing all of the words out of my mouth. So yes, I very much agree with that my job is to give the patients the tools and to empower them to take care of themselves and to not have to rely on us long term. We're here to kind of help put things back into like neutral, and then everything that they're doing at home is what's going to reinforce that and keep things healthy. So to me, the biggest predictor to me for who is going to, like, which patients are going to improve the fastest are the ones that are doing their stuff at home that we give them to do. So again, taking care of yourself. So if you don't do the daily things that I have prescribed for you to do, you're not going to get as better as fast as you want to do. So see, now I'm just messing this up.
You're trying to not go down a rabbit hole.
Trying to not go down a rabbit hole.
I can see you hold yourself back from your passion.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So to me, the biggest predictor of who's going to get better from my patients is the ones that are doing their stuff at home. Absolutely. So I don't even know how to word that in a way that is not just me blabbering on.
I think it's an element of taking ownership of your own health. Mm-hmm. And I think we've talked about this a little bit in some of our very, very first videos when we were talking about kind of the birth of the new kind of Studio D direction and values and such. And I think we talked a lot about when we were referring to how we brought our practitioner team together, how everybody here would love to be out of a job one day. We will have loved to have fixed everybody in the world, given everybody the tools, and have nobody need us anymore, which will never happen. But that's the mindset, right? Like I think our society is very much, go to a healthcare practitioner and have them do everything for you, whether that's, tell you the direction you're going, whether that's writing you a prescription, whether that's putting you on a machine, whether that's whatever that might look like. I think changing the dynamics so that your practitioner stands beside you and works with you as a team is the best way to be successful. And that's a huge mindset shift for people and our clients, is that we're not going to do the work for you. Like, I think there's a real kind of kick in the butt that people need a little bit, and being like, if you do not want to get better, you will not get better. We can't do it for you. But we will be here every step of the way to support you. We will give you every tool you need. We will be there as the changes come in, as the highs and lows come in, and we will be there all the way to the very end, but we won't drag you there. We will go with you. And I think that's a hugely defining difference with our practitioners, is they're not going to drag you along. They will work with you as a team.
I think with that one, a really great analogy that I've heard from a few different doctors and practitioners that are kind of coming in and going along the same line as Studio D is our patients, our clients, they are the vehicle, and we're giving them back the key to start their vehicle, to be effective, to be healthy. They have to be the ones, exactly like what you said, that starts the car, that makes the choices. We can just give you guidance, show you which lane to drive in if you so choose to.
Yeah, one of the things I think I love the most about the online treatment that we're doing is that I have to give you things that you can do at home. I can't do manual therapy at you online or for you online. I have to give you things to do at home. And that's my goal anyway. So it just forces me not to rely on manual therapy and give you the things that you can do every single day at home, not need me there for it. And I love that.
Yeah, it's a really good
Stella
point.
agrees with that.
Yeah, she perked right up.
She's like, oh, tools for at home?
Oh.
Yes.
She's like, yep.
So, oh,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so I mean, I think that's a great segue into what's probably going to be my favorite part of this conversation, because you guys called me out. What areas do you guys struggle with in your own life, in your own health journey? Please, if you want to spread the, open the dirty laundry of someone else, do it. Carte blanche, go for it.
Here, I'll start. So I think one thing definitely like that Micah touched on at the very beginning is routine. Very much so routine. That can be a really big struggle. And you guys are definitely not alone when it comes to struggling with routine. It's definitely a hard one for me when you're not at work, when you're not constantly going from job to job, trying to ensure that you're eating healthy, that you're getting up on time, that you're going to bed on time, that you're exercising, all that kind of stuff. That is a definite challenge.
Yeah, I think for me, kind of just springboarding a little bit on that would be the balance. The balance between these different pieces that we've talked about that you need to achieve for have a really good, healthy, sustainable lifestyle. So it's thinking about, okay, well, this week I'm focusing on my exercising, and working through that, and then it's the next week, oh, okay, well, my nutrition kind of fell off, so now it's like going back and refocusing the nutrition, and then the next week's like, oh, well, my sleep schedule kind of fell off. And so I think one of the biggest challenges for me is kind of balancing all these different pieces of the lifestyle together, and really finding that those small acceptable pieces that are sustainable, that you can kind of blend with each other, that just take up the right amount of time and really kind of actually make your day more productive.
I think that my biggest struggle is probably work-life balance, making sure I'm not constantly looking at my phone or my tablet to make sure I'm not getting notifications from work or working on projects, like scheduling time to actually take breaks and to shut down my notifications and not check it anymore. That's my biggest struggle, I think. And my other one is trying not to be a perfectionist. So I don't have to eat perfectly every day. I don't have to exercise perfectly every day, and not beating myself up when I don't hit like perfection.
Yeah, I mean, amen to all of that stuff. I think it's a really interesting time in that we're all going through this experience together. And when does that ever happen, that every single person, no matter your age, race, gender, etc., we are all going through this pandemic at the same time. And so I think everybody's going through a lot of similar life experiences right now. I think the hardest thing for me, and I think we all touched on this a little bit throughout this whole thing, is, everybody's got their own set of life influences, pressures, stressors, etc. And I know I've shown a little bit of like little peeks into my life throughout our videos and conversations. And so some of you guys will know that I have ulcerative colitis, which complicates everything a little bit. Having an autoimmune disease is just, lovely to throw into the balance. And so I think, just speaking to the people out there that are dealing with that, extra layer, whatever it is. It can be, a illness, a disease, it can be a loss of a family member, it can be whatever. And so the biggest thing I'm dealing with right now is dealing with that extra layer of stress and how to manage that. And, being completely honest, getting out of bed some mornings is hard. All you're doing is moving 10 feet into the living room to a desk at a computer screen all day long. And, and you just, what's the next level of stress? What's the next thing that you're going to be managing? And I think all of us have had this onslaught of extra stressors in our life. And so the biggest thing I'm working on in my personal life is how to manage the stress coming at you at every different possible angle. And so that's been a lot of, journaling, reflecting, reaching out to other people and, talking about it, making sure that we're not isolated, even though we're all isolated in our own homes. And, that's a really, really difficult thing. And I think stress is one of those things that affects every aspect of health, like we talked about at the beginning. And so, for me, addressing stress is kind of the trickle down effect into everything the other practitioners talked about. It affects the eating and the exercise and my routine and my balance. And so I think listening to what you need in any given day is really, really important. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be like, okay, today is not a day that I need to go downstairs and exercise for an hour. Today is a day that I need to read a book at the end of my day instead of, watching TV and vegging out, trying to, shut down my brain. Today, I need to reach out and talk to my best friend on the phone. Today I need to try to eat 3 times instead of once at 3:00 in the afternoon when I realize I haven't eaten. And so I think just focusing on what you need that day and listening to your body is something I'm learning how to do right now.
I mean, I think that's a great, all of us struggle in certain ways. And especially this, everyone has been thrown off. Even if not a lot has changed in your life, everything has been thrown off. And the society around you being thrown, through the gambit also has these repercussions. And I mean, I think that's great that you mentioned that. Stress is huge and that affects a lot of things. And I mean, it's nice to see that the people who are telling us to do better, the people who are giving us advice, are also going through things. So you guys are speaking from experience. You guys aren't just here's a pamphlet, take this. This was written in the 90s. Can you tell by the image on the front? This still, this still checks. But no, I think that's a really good point. And I don't know if you guys have anything more to add. That was kind of the biggest thing that people are working on right now. Really, it's not so much your health, but rather your lifestyle management, one of our pillars. This little shout out, the video on this side. But no, it's a huge part, and it's more than just working out. It's more than just drinking enough water, trying to get the rest. That alone, if you just list all the things to do to be healthy, that's a list. That's stressful in and of itself. So I think that's a great point, is lifestyle management. That's a huge part of this.
I want to add one little thing to that. I had a client say to me the other day that she's not, she shouldn't be any busier than when she was working from the office. Now that she's working at home, in fact, she thinks that she should be less busy, but she feels busier. And my comment to that was, well, think about when you go to the grocery store and it takes you twice as long and you have to dodge a bunch of people. Think about when you go to, you try and go anywhere, it's going to take twice as long to get anything done. You go to a restaurant, you have to wait in line. You go to try and get your Christmas shopping, you have to wait in line at 18 different spots. Everything takes longer right now, and everything is 10 times more stressful than it used to be. So that's going to make us feel busier and more tired, and just COVID fatigue is a real thing. We're all this was supposed to end. They told us in March and April it was going to be done in
2 weeks.
It just keeps going. So COVID fatigue is a real thing. We have to kind of recognize that and not take ourselves too seriously through it. We're all going through stuff right now, all of us, every single one of us. There's nobody that's not. So if you're seeing things on social media where people are like, you know, I got fit over COVID, good for you. Not all of us are going to do that. Honor yourselves and be kind to yourselves.
I agree fully. Be kind to yourselves. 100%. If there's nothing else you guys want to add to that, I mean, this is kind of the perfect place to end. So don't ruin it. We're good? We're good? Okay. So no, I think we can all relate to that. We've all, you know, we're all in this journey together, even though it looks different. Looks different from the outside as it does in your house. You know, all of this, there's understanding there, and be kind to yourself. This is kind of why we do what we do, or you guys do what we do. I just facilitate and make sure your images look good. But no, I think it's just that, is you have to have that level of understanding, and we're here for you to help you advocate, to help you through this journey. Again, this is really just a really long conversation about our pillars and why we are what we are, why we do what we do. If you haven't checked out our videos, obviously, again, I'm going to throw some more links up there for some playlists. Thank you guys all so much for joining, for being a part of this. I know our viewers and our clients and our community love seeing you guys, and they love hearing from you. We promised to post more dog photos because Stella's in the background. Odin was bugging me the whole time. Like, we will do this. We'll get them out there. They want to be on the screen. If you liked this video, if you want to hear more, comment, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the little bell for the notifications even, because we're going to be hitting you with some more videos coming up. And yeah, any comments, questions, concerns, hit us up in the comments, email us. All of our info is in the bio here. You can follow us on all of our channels. And I mean, have a good time and be kind to yourself. Happy holidays, guys. You know, we're always here. We're always here. This holiday season is going to look a little different, but we're here for you. We promise. Awesome. Thanks, guys, so much. We will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.